Hello viewers, my name is Omonyi Alfred from Apologetics Uganda, and here with me I have Steve from ITM and Next Generation. Steve, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Alfred. Glad to be here.
Good. Yeah, so I'm just going to ask you a few questions, the background of what happened, the mission that we had here. So I want to find out, what is a worldview and how important is it?
Worldview is a new term to some people, but what a worldview is just exactly what it says. It's how do we view the world. When we look at the world, how do we interpret what's going on? How do we understand the confusion, the corruption, the evilness, and the way that we look at the world and interpret that, the way we think and so forth, is how we then try to put all that together and then respond to it. And so that's what a worldview is. It's looking at the world, trying to understand what's going on, and then responding to what we see.
So why worldviews, and how is that important in our Christian journey?
Oh, it is so important because we live our life and we have a lot of different individual moments. And it's hard sometimes to understand how this individual moment fits into reality, how all the pieces of our life fits together. And it creates a lot of problems. Why am I suffering? Why is there evil? Why are not things going better? Why did my grandmother die so young? And just these things. And depending on our worldview, we have different answers to those questions. You know, there's 5 questions in any worldview. How did everything get here? What does it mean to be human? What is a human being? Where do we find meaning in life? How do we find morality? Where does good and evil come from? Is it man-made or is it God-made? And destiny, what happens when we die? And all of those questions are things that we have to deal with during our life. And our worldview is what gives us those answers.
That's very true. Now, Steve, you realize we live in this part of this country, northern Uganda. People hold culture very dear to themselves. And so how does culture influence the various worldviews?
Oh boy, this is so important because as I've been studying this and thinking about this and considering culture, I think that culture has so much influence on how we interpret the world. And the reason why is because there's so many ideas with our smartphones, with the internet. We're getting so much information from everywhere about opinions about life, opinions about morality, opinions about meaning to life, destiny. And we're getting all this information in from our culture, from our social media, from the internet. It's coming at us from everywhere. And there's individuals who are trying to persuade us that their view is right and that we need to follow their view. And so it leads to a lot of confusion. And I really believe that most people are more influenced by their culture than they even realize. And we need to help them understand that it's not culture that should generate our thinking and our response, but it should be the Bible and God.
That is true. Is it possible if I just choose one worldview only and focus on that, or you need all of them collectively in order to understand the entire package?
Oh yeah, well let's just talk just briefly about the different worldviews. And we've already mentioned one, that there is what we would call a biblical Christian worldview. It comes strictly from God's Word.
Yes.
But there are also those who do not see God as being personal, that He is an impersonal God. Even traditional religions are like that. And so that worldview would be much different because we don't see God as being personal. Then there's a growing worldview where there's no God at all. So how can you choose all of them together? Only one is true. And of course, we believe that the biblical Christian worldview is the true worldview that helps us better understand and answer all of these difficult questions. And so I would say, I think we all agree, you and I would certainly agree, that we need to choose a biblical Christian worldview because that's what helps us understand what's going on in the world.
Wow. That's really amazing. Now, my last question for you, Steve. I understand your passion for the young generation.
Yes.
hence the organization Next Generation. So, what is your advice or your message to this generation, especially in this particular area of this country, Northern Uganda?
Well, I'll say this. This generation that is just now coming up is going to be the leading generation in the years to come. Those who know what's going on say that in the next 25 to 30 years, Africa is going to be the center of Christianity in the entire world. So this generation needs to be prepared to lead the Christian movement, not just here in northern Uganda, not just in Uganda, not just in Africa, but perhaps the entire world. So it's very important that you understand the Christian worldview, what God says, what God's word says, that you're able to answer all of these difficult questions that your peers are asking, so that you are prepared to lead this next generation and lead the movement of Christianity in the entire world.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve. It has been a wonderful moment.
You're welcome.
We'll have a great time with you again.
I hope so.
All right.
I love Gulu.